Yo, what's going on YouTube? So we're actually just gonna jump right into the video. I kind of just started the game. So yeah, right now I'm just playing the friendly 2v2s. So I'm just warming up for my ranked matches that I'm gonna do in at the end of this video. It's gonna be, I think, two of them. But today I just wanted to really quickly just talk about like oversaturation in markets. And if you don't know what if you don't remember oversaturation, no. But if you don't know what oversaturation is in a market, it just means there's a lot in the market and it's hard to get like recognized. Like especially nowadays, a lot of people say that, like an example of oversaturated markets are like YouTube, Instagram, um, you know, X, Twitter, whatever. Any place that's really popular, pretty much, is what I'm getting at. So anything that's really popular, being an influencer or being a singer, that people say that all of these markets are oversaturated, and it's like, to me, right? I'm like, well, what? Why do people care about oversaturated? Because the thing is, right? Let's say, the market is oversaturated with people. Even like the most recent thing I think is like podcasting, right? Everybody has a podcast nowadays, which, I mean, to me it's fine, but some people say it's oversaturated. And I'm like, yeah, it's oversaturated, but the podcast or anything that's good will always be, would always blow up. So at least that's my thought of it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just completely wrong, and not everything that's good will eventually get the spotlight that it deserves. And maybe only the negativity and the bad stuff only gets the shine. But eventually I think it all evens out, like if you're in an oversaturated market like I am with gaming and art and all that, I think it's fun. It's like people think that there's a finite amount of resources in the world, when it comes to, money or things like that. And it's like, no, there's plenty of money for everybody. Like there's plenty of, room for everybody. It's just that people have this, preconceived notion that, oh, well, if it's oversaturated, then I can't do it, or it's not quote unquote smart to do it. And it's like, no, like if everybody thought that way, literally, if everybody thought that way, there would be nobody in that market, because people come and go from every market, like people are gonna, retire from YouTube, or people are gonna leave, whatever they're doing, and maybe pursue something else, because we all fluctuate when it comes to what we're interested in, like throughout my life. Like I remember, and I'm still interested in this, but I'm just less so interested in it now, but like computer science, right? Like I love technology. I love learning about science. I love all that stuff, right? And for a while, like in my 20s, I wanted to be like a software engineer, right? And maybe I'll still do it, because I can still learn it to a degree where I can actually be good at it. But if I do actually end up doing it, I want to do it, on my own, like as an independent person, not for like a corporation. Because I thought that, if you know anything about tech or tech companies, the big tech companies, the fame, which is Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, were, those are the top ones, and with me being into computers and technology, I thought that the only way for me to be successful in the tech company or in the tech world in general was to get into one of the big corporations, and no, you don't have to do that. There's plenty of ways to be able to make a living for yourself and not have to work for the big corporations, big Silicon Valley, corporations. So, but also that market that market is oversaturated as well, you know. But it's like, yeah, I mean, it's oversaturated, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. And that's my whole thing when it comes to, like, you know, anything that I'm doing. When it's like, yeah, it's oversaturated. Okay, so like, who cares? And I think people say it because I don't know if, like, people just secretly don't want people to pursue what they want to do, or what. Like, I think people secretly, like, to me personally, I think when people say this, people are secretly wanting people not to pursue what they want to do. Or maybe they do want, you know, people to actually pursue what they want to do. They just don't want them to be better than they are. Maybe it's jealousy, you know. I don't know the reason why people say that markets are oversaturated. Like, I'm a little confused, because to me, it makes it seem like when people say this, you know, like a lot of YouTubers say the market is oversaturated and all that, especially in 2025. People have been saying that since 2010, you know, in YouTube. You know, I was watching a video about, you know, oversaturated markets and all that. And I'm like, yeah, but they always say that, you know, even like when the internet first started, right? Like Web 2.0. Web 2.0, if you don't know, it's the way the internet is right now. So it's with all the graphics and all that, and, you know, the modern internet era. And then there's Web 1.0, you know, those are more like that era of websites was what I kind of grew up in, where, you know, every website kind of had its own place. And this is before Google. So before Google became like a real thing. And I only lived with it for a little while, but I do remember when, like, websites were only, you know, there were only letters and code. You know, there were no, like, real pictures. There was, you know, nothing really like that out there until Web 2.0, where it is now, you know, with all the graphics and the letterings and the, you know, GIFs and all that amazing stuff. And then coming up in the future, Web 3.0 will be a lot of, like, artificial intelligence and, you know, all that stuff. But we haven't quite got there yet, but we're transitioning, if you notice, to Web 3.0, where a lot of stuff is going to be like artificial intelligence and all that stuff. But even like recently, I saw the Google I/O. I only watched a little bit of it, but like I said, I'm a tech nerd. So if you don't know anything about this, I'll explain it to you as much as I can, or as best as I can. So Google I/O, they host every year, you know, tech companies, they host an event for their, a lot of times companies like to separate their software and then their hardware. Software being, you know, what's running on the hardware, and the hardware being the physical object itself. Like the iPhone, that's the hardware. iOS, that's the software. But yeah, anyway, Google I/O is what they call it. So Google I/O 2025, you can look it up on YouTube or whatever. And yeah, it's they were talking about recently they Google finally cracked the what am I looking for here? The words that I'm looking for. Anyway, Google, they're finally able to use video and have audio with it, and it's all artificial intelligence, you know. And kind of just a heads up about artificial intelligence, right? People are freaking out about it. Like, people are like, oh my God, it's the end of the world with artificial intelligence. And I'm like, not really. Like, it's I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it could be. And I don't know if this will happen in my lifetime, but, you know, it's possible for sure. But maybe artificial intelligence will take over the world and everybody will be out of a job and we're just stuck with nothing, you know. But I don't want to believe that, and I don't think that's what's gonna happen, because, you know, like, you know, I've seen people freak out about everything. Like, I remember, I don't remember this personally, but I've heard older people that are, you know, more intelligent than me they talk about how, oh, when like electricity was invented, and this is another thing from, if you saw my recent video, I talked about Gary Vee a little bit. I've been watching a lot of Gary Vee videos, and not because necessarily I want to be like, motivated or because I believe everything he's saying or anything like that. But I do watch him because he does give some good points when it comes to a lot of stuff. And yeah, but he was talking about how he's older and he's has a successful like online business and all that, and he's doing great with Vayner Media, I think is what his company is called. But yeah, he was talking about electricity, right? Electricity. A lot of people didn't want electricity in their homes back in the days because people thought that it caused cancer and all that stuff. Just like Wi-Fi. I remember a time when like Wi-Fi and 5G, when when that first started coming out, people thought that it would give you cancer because of radiation and all that. I'm like, yeah, it uses a little bit of radiation, but it's not enough to cause any cancers, or at least, not scientifically, like it hasn't been proven that it causes any issues. But people were freaking out about it. And now it's just like, yeah, it's a normal thing. Wi-Fi is found in every home now. Damn near like apartments give it away for free and they add it to your rent because it's like, yeah, everybody has Wi-Fi, except for some third world countries where Starlink is, and they're trying to get that sorted out. But for the most part, most places have internet. So, and I'm not internet, Wi-Fi, and specifically. But yeah, so I'm actually about to get into ranked now. So I actually that previous match that you saw, funny enough, I saw Vivi. When I was selecting my character as random character, and Vivi for some reason stood out to me. So I tried her, try to see what she was like in a ranked match. So that's what I'm doing here. But yeah, kind of back to what I was talking about. So with the oversaturated markets, right? It just reminds me of a lot of like people freaking out about everything, because people freak out about everything. And it's a normal kind of human response. Like first they freak out and then it's like, okay, it's not as bad as we thought. And I think it's going to be the same thing with artificial intelligence and all that stuff, where everybody's freaking out right now. Everybody thinks we're all going to lose jobs and all that stuff. But I think it'll even out. I think we'll get to a point where it's like, okay, we can live with artificial intelligence. There's certain things we don't want. There's certain things we do want. We're AI, And I think in the future we'll figure out, well, this is, this and this is that. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Yeah, of course that makes sense. Of course, always makes sense. This is this and that is that, So, there's no way to confuse what I just said by any means, But yeah, that was confusing as hell. I don't know what I just said. That was dumb. Whatever metaphor I just tried to use. Anyways, so yeah, but oversaturated markets. I think it's an overrated concept because there's always going to be oversaturation in any market that's popular, But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it though. Like you should still do it. No matter what it is. No matter when. I apologize. I'm being dumb out. My tongue today is just. I'm not gonna say that. No more. I'm not gonna say that. Yeah. So just take it with a grain of salt when people say it's an oversaturated market. Because it doesn't mean anything. Like if you want to do it, just do it. And then, once you get the hang of it after a few years and whatever you're doing, then, you can go ahead and adjust and hopefully you're good, hopefully you get good, because as you do it, you should start getting better, hopefully it's not where you're just not getting any better at all. But hopefully you learn and, you're going to suck in the beginning. And that's okay. I suck at making YouTube videos right now. A lot of people aren't going to listen to it. A lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people. Yep, that's what I said. No longer are they people, they are just people. So a lot of people, they assume that they're going to just, make a viral video or do something viral, and then it's like, oh, I just want to go viral, and it's like, no, like, look for sustainability over virality. Like, try to get somewhere where you're actually sustained, where you consistently are getting good results. That's what makes a great creator, not just creator, but just person in general when it comes to being in the field. Like, for instance, like the metaphor I guess I could use, not even metaphor, but the example I could use for consistency over just being at a peak is like LeBron James, right? And I know LeBron James, controversial, whether he's the greatest player or not. That's debatable because, me personally, my favorite player is Kobe Bryant. So I think he's the best player. But yeah, that's because I grew up in the 90s, early 90s. I was born in 93. So, and I grew up watching Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, and all them. And that's just what I feel because I grew up with it. But LeBron James, back to him, his consistency is like on another level. Like, there is no other player in the world, in the NBA, that has had the consistency that man has had. Like, there's just nobody. I don't care who your favorite player is. Nobody has had that consistency from getting right into the league. He came right out of like high school, and he was dominating from the beginning. It is crazy how good not everybody's gonna do that though. Like, he is a 1 in a billion player. Like, there's not gonna be another LeBron James for a long time. Not in my lifetime, I don't think. If there is, I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to admit if there's another player that is just right out the gate, just disgusting when it comes to their stats, and then maintains that for 20 plus years. Like, if there's another player that does that, I will be impressed. But LeBron James right now is the GOAT of that. And yeah, so there's no debating that though, right? I mean, some people will debate it, but I don't think that's based in reality, saying that, oh, he's not the most consistent player. I'm like, well, who is? Michael Jordan wasn't. He had a peak, in the 90s, the late 90s, and then he fell off in the early 2000s. It happens. Kobe Bryant, he had a peak in the early 2000s, and then, later on 2000s, he wasn't as good. And it happens, it's a part of getting older, and that's perfectly fine. We all have our peaks and valleys. That's perfectly fine to do that, But consistency, if you can consistently be good at something in any market, doesn't matter what market, financing, medical field, legal field, whatever field you choose to be in. For me personally, it just so happens that I want to be in the creative field, with making art and content and all that. But I have to consistently be good. And right now, maybe I'm not good. Maybe I'm still in my era of, or maybe not even maybe, I am for sure still in my era of figuring stuff out and of actually learning how to actually be a quote unquote good content creator, because I don't want to be an influencer, because I'm not trying to influence anybody to do anything, to be honest. I don't know when I do actually become an actual if I ever do, I don't know if this is ever gonna happen, but if I ever do become like a YouTube partnership program and all that, like, I don't even know if I'll ever accept any sort of like sponsors for videos. Do I want to get paid? Sure I do, but I don't know if it'll be something that I will actually do, unless maybe I use their product or something. Then it'll be like, okay, I'll do it for that. But I'm always willing to change that. I'm always willing to change my mind on that, depending on what's going on and what I'm seeing, and if I'm able to be truthful about stuff, But actually, in this match right here, by the way, that you're watching, so I get no, I'm not gonna spoil it, but yeah, so I'll wait till the end of this match. But yeah, this guy was pretty good. Again, if you haven't watched any of my other videos, I always say guy. It could be a girl. I don't know the gender of the person, so I just always say guy, kind of as a general rule. But yeah, I got whooped, and then I quit out of that. So don't judge me, please. I kind of rage quit after I got beat, and I was like, damn. So I got my butt whooped, but I'm trying to get better. I still got to play more consistently. Brawlhalla used to be pretty decent, but now I really suck. But yeah, I think that'll be the end of this video. Just oversaturated markets. That's my whole point in this video, is that oversaturated markets are just overrated. Like it doesn't matter what's going on in the market. Just do what you want to do. Doesn't matter what it is. Just do it, and be the best you can at it. And if you love it, the people will find you if you're good enough. The people that your audience, they're gonna find you. So even if it's not content creation, whatever it is, whether it be like writing or um, anything creative, the people will find you. Just be consistent with what you're doing is all. And consistency does pay off. Like, it is an amazing thing. So yeah, that's just my message for this one. um Other than that, I'll talk to y'all next time.